Hello all, and welcome to another review and unboxing. This time we'll be looking at the counterpart to the 100 Years French Knights and Foot Soldiers by Italeri, which is the English Knights and Archers, also by Italeri and number 6027, and this one was 626, so yes. Now what you'll notice immediately is the box art's different. This has something of maybe a bit of a 90s style, early 2000s, millennium. And this one definitely looks cleaner, more modern, a bit more professional. And even things like the actual print quality seems to be a bit more defined. So they've probably put more effort into it. And this box art is more uniform with the later releases that I have, the Mongolian and Chinese cavalry. So what we'll do is we'll just have a quick look at the box art, which depicts men-at-arms and archers, and mounted knight over here. But all of these men-at-arms certainly seem to be noble, judging by the very expensive equipment they all have. So immediately there's a few things that stick out to any history buff, and that is the 3 lines passant with no quartered livery. Obviously, if this is 100 years, this was during the time of Henry V and his claim to the French throne. I've pieced all of my medieval knowledge together from maybe like 2 or 3 films, the Kenneth Branagh Shakespearean adaptation, and the more recent Netflix release of The King. Both very good films. I'd recommend both of them if this gets you in the mood for some medieval brutality. The King's very good. It's not particularly, accurate, but it's a good film anyway. The guy who plays King Henry V does a very, very good job. So, historical accuracies aside, let's just flip it over and see what we've got. Okay, so another one of these Italeri pretty basic painting guides. This archer seems to be wearing some kind of Swiss uniform here. And this livery, I don't know if it's historically accurate, but it looks pretty cool. It looks like there's a smile engraved upon his helm skill. So yeah, Italeri, unlike the Model Master that we saw before, seem to have their own paint range. So this is 26 figures, 8 knights, 18 soldiers, which is 2 less soldiers than what you got in the 100 Years French edition. Made up of less parts. So, yeah, let's open up the box and see what we can find. So, this comes in one big sprue. You could chop it up and call it 2. And immediately we are confronted. And this is the layout. So, like I say, we've got 8 horses. There are 2 poses here, all fully decked out in caparisons, and I think they're called sham somethings for the headgear. And we've got 2 more modestly armoured, if armoured at all, horses, but with baggage and quivers. And we've got another pose there, which I believe is the same as the other one, and this one is more individual. So looking at it, we can see that the livery's already been engraved on it. We've got 3 knights passant on here, 3 lions, and what appears to be bushels of wheat, which, if we just have a quick look at the box art, looks like this. So they're the horses, finely sculpted, I must say. They look very good. We've got some tactical grass on them, probably to just further reinforce, seeing as they're only held on by 2 legs on the mould. And then moving on to the actual infantry figures, we've got, on this sprue at least, we've got 4 archers, a bunch of men-at-arms, a couple of halberdiers, we've got a mounted trooper here. So, yeah, we've got a stake half menacingly stuck in the ground. Whether or not that would stop a charge, I don't know. I doubt it very much. But, you know, such is the hobby, you can just chop it off, put a cocktail stick down on it, or maybe just put another one next to it, maybe mount it on the stand. He's got arrows placed into the floor next to him, which is quite a nice piece of historical accuracy there. Quivers aren't really, aside from this guy who seems to have a quiver on him, quivers aren't exactly, they're more Hollywood than they are historically accurate. But just having a look at it, the detail is very, very fine. He's got a purse, he's got a dagger. The arm, it looks like the arrow can be sort of drawn on the left side if you choose for more accuracy. There's a peg on this battle axe wielding knight over here, which a shield can be mounted on, and we'll have a quick look at the shields as well. And then we have, you know, so we've got 2 kneeling archers and another. So this is a, if we look at this sprue, this seems to be a duplicate of this one, and this one is a duplicate of that one. So far 4 archers, which is pretty good. Archers are often just thrown on the sprue as an afterthought. They've clearly designed this set with archers in mind. Still far more, you know, nobility infantry than what would normally be in a typical medieval army at this point. But, you know, for fantasy figures, they'll do just nice. They'll do just as well. So yeah, we've got another mounted figure there, got another one. So these are all pretty, they look like they're braced for a charge, so they might look good as front rank troopers mounted on stand. Nice. Pretty good. Unfortunately, because they have engraved all the livery on it, all the heraldry is identical, which isn't that bad if we just say that these are, you know, quite well-off nobles or whatever, or personal consort of the king, then it could be expected that he would provide some tabards just to help with identification or pageantry on the field. So that's that sprue. Overall, looking at this sprue, very nice. I like the archers. They're very interestingly sculpted, and they've got a lot of detail and character. And what we'll do is we'll just flip it over and have a look at this sprue. So, yeah, we've got, like I say, the aforementioned mounts here. Very nice. And if you actually look at, well, the detail can't quite come through on this, but if one looks at the ribbons here, you can't see it, but there are very tiny embossed elements that have been engraved on, that have been sculpted on, and that's just incredible attention to detail. Very, very nicely done. So yeah, more arrows stuck here. We've got a morning star, like a mace, over here. It looks like he's about to strike upwards, perhaps at the cavalry charge that's incoming. We've got these resting, which is good because, you know, you need some variety of poses. And moving on down, so we'll flip it over so that we can have a look. I think that they're mirrored on that side, so we may not have to. As we can see, we've got a lancer and a swordsman. This guy's got a fully enclosed helm. This guy's got an open-faced helm. And then, if we have a look here, we've got a standard bearer and King Henry V himself, Prince Hal. So there's a bit of there's an incongruity here. There's 3 lions per son, and if you can't really make it out, but on his tabard you can see that he has it halved. Now, it is quartered to a degree, so you could probably paint in the lower half the 3 lions per son, and then in this quarter here you could do the fleur-de-lis and this one, so you could actually make him a bit more historically accurate. But if you're just using these as just general knights, or maybe even as fantasy figures, you could paint whatever you wanted. So I quite like the fact that they've left that side unengraved. The flag, I don't know exactly why there's this type of flag for this set. The standards of the time would have been triangular, and of course there's the 3 lions per son, not quartered, but you could just about paint some fleur-de-lis on this. Alternatively, just chop it all off, put a bit of tin foil and paint the correct heraldry on it. That's what I'd do. If I cared about historical accuracy, which I don't. I just like painting the miniatures, building them up, sticking them on a bookcase, and just looking at them for an hour at a time. So yeah, these are the shields. Quite a nice variety of design. Well, there's three different designs. Mainly, there's a few kite shields, a couple of heater, like almond shapes, and these cut out, almost like, not jousting, but to improve the visibility of the mounted rider, there's a little bit of a cutout while not sacrificing much coverage. So, the detail is absolutely impeccable. Very intricately sculpted, very nicely designed. Slightly less figures than what you got in the French edition, but there's not much between them. It's good that the French have crossbows and the English have longbows, and the longbows are quite well represented. You would probably need to pad them out. I think you get what, maybe, I've had a quick look, you get about 7 or 9. So let's say that you get about 9. That's, 4 on a stand, and then that's 2 units. So you could probably put 3 on a stand and have a full unit. So not bad at all. I'd like to have seen more longbows, of course, and maybe a few more levied troops, but these are obviously the upper crust of society, and they're usually more interestingly sculpted, and people like knights in shining armour. So on the whole, a very good set. I think these are slightly more expensive than I previously said. These are about £15, which is fair for 30 figures. Works out at what, like 50p a figure, plus all the options and all the very fine sculpting. There isn't much in the way of options actually. They just fit into ring hands. They're separately sculpted, so there's no compromise on the detail, and they're not bent. So yeah, top quality stuff. Grab them if you can. They fit very nicely with the 100 Years' War Knights, as they should. So yes, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.